Good morning, Harold. How are you? Good to see you. Hope you have a good flight. I'll see you on the flight. Hey, y'all. Well, it's story time in regards to that video I posted this morning of my husband and his mistress at the Atlanta airport. So, let me just preface this by saying, I'm a nice person. I'm a sweet person. I'll do anything for my family and my friends. And I'll help anybody out. Try to stay in my own lane. I try not to bother anyone or do any of that. But when people play in my face and plot and plan and do foul stuff, I'm not so nice anymore. And that's how most of us are. So let me start by saying on October 29th of 2022, my husband was scheduled to come home from a trip from Europe. He told me he had been over there working. And he worked a lot for his, his corporate job. I thought he was working anyway. Told me he had a speaking engagement in Europe. So I wanted to make sure that I had dinner and everything ready for him by the time he got home. So I called the airline. So I knew the flight number. And I was driving, so I couldn't, type it in my computer, because usually if you just type a flight number in, it'll just pop up what time the flight's going to land. So I had to call the airline that day. And when I asked the flight attendant, or not the flight attendant, I'm sorry, but the representative, what time that flight came in, he asked for my husband's name. And I was like, you don't need his name. I was like, just give me the flight information. If I typed it in, I just need the flight information. You don't need his name. So he was adamant about me giving the name. So I gave him the name. He comes back a few minutes later and he says, Mr. Such and Such and Miss what's her name landed 20 minutes ago. So I'm in shock because I've been married 25, 26 years, and I'm thinking I'm just married to this outstanding, upstanding citizen. So I said, no, just his name. I don't know who that other person is, but just his name. And the guy states again, he was like, Mr. Such and Such and Miss what's her name just landed a few minutes ago, like 20 minutes ago. So I'm sitting in the Kroger parking lot like, what does this mean? I'm in a state of shock, actually. So my head is spinning by this time. My blood pressure's going up. And I'm like, what does this mean? So I'm like, okay. So right after that, my husband calls, and I was trying to hold it in and trying to hold what I was feeling in. So I was like, I'm not going to say anything right now. I'm going to wait till he gets to the house, because he was like, oh, I missed you. It's been a long, long week. This is the hardest money I ever earned, but I wish you could have gone with me. And I was like, okay, well, you can tell me about your trip when you get home. So, okay, stand by, y'all, for the rest.
Imagine being married for over 26 years, only to finally catch your husband with his mistress at the Atlanta airport of all places. This is exactly what happened to Gail. Let me tell you her story, and the drama is just so intense. I really had to share this one with you because it's just one shocking moment after another. What's up, beautiful people? You don't know, it's your favorite island girl, Jody, here from the 876. And of course, you see that Gail has been sharing her story about how she found out that her husband of over 26 years has been cheating on her. Before we get into the story of how this whole betrayal unravels, please remember to just like this video for your girl. It's an easy and free way to, of course, support my channel. And if you're new, please subscribe to my channel, of course, and you can indicate same by dropping some palm trees, whether right here so down in the comment section, so we can officially welcome you to the Islanders family. As always, please be sure to share your thoughts down in the comment section. Without further ado, let's continue with today's video.
So, okay, y'all. So when he comes home, I greet him at the door, give him a hug and a kiss and ask him about his trip while he's unpacking. And so I'm like, show me some pictures from your trip. And he was like, oh, I didn't take any pictures. I was running around working, and we were just so busy and on the go. We were just, just going to and fro. So I was like, oh, okay. So when we go to have dinner, I was like, hey, I called the airlines to see what time your flight was getting in. And I said, they told me there was someone else on your itinerary. And I tell him the person's name. And he was like, who was that? And I was like, I don't know. You tell me. He was like, oh, I don't know who that is. And he was like, He said, they must have made a mistake. So I was like, well, okay. So I went along with it, but something about it, my spirit just was not feeling right. So I was like, something about this It's just not right. So that night when we go to bed, he's sleeping over there just a snoring. I'm over there tossing and turning because I was like, something about this just does not feel right. So something tells me in the morning when you get up, go check your credit card bills that are on the counter. So the credit card bills are all stacked up out on our kitchen counter, and I don't open them because I don't pay the bill. I mean, it's American Express bill each month. They be high. So I was like, I ain't got none on it, so no need for me to open them. But that was my account, and I added him to it years ago. And I just let him open it, open the bill and pay it. And there was sometimes I would open it, but most times I would just look at my portion of it and just keep it moving. So that morning when I get up, I go to church, and he tells me that he had to leave because he had to catch up on work and all that kind of stuff later on in the day. So I was like, okay. So I go to church, and when I come back from church, I get ready to go to the Falcon game. But something was like, check one of those credit card bills before you go. When I open up that bill, the woman that the airline employee mentioned that was on his itinerary, her name was up and down my credit card bill. Flights here, flights there, flights to Paris, Delta vacations, country here, island there. So I'm thinking this was in 1 month. So I'm sitting there like, what in the world? So by this time, y'all, I'm steaming, and I got to go to this Falcon game with my girlfriends and try to act like I'm having a good time. But the whole time, my mind is racing. So I was like, okay. So I come home that night. I stack up all those bills. I got bills for like 8 months worth of bills. Actually, that was October. So 10 months. I pulled from December of 21 to October of 22. And when I tell you, it was very telling. This woman's name was on every one of my bills for each of those months several times. So while I thought he was out working and telling me that I couldn't travel with him because, he didn't want to get distracted. Oh, he had a travel mate, all right. He had one. Stand by for part 3. So I go through all these credit card bills, finds this girl's name for months on my credit card bills, for the last 10 months specifically. So at that time, I try to call his phone, call my husband's phone and text him. No answer, no text back. So I call his boy's house because he told me he was going to his boy's house to watch football. No answer from him. So I texted him and was like, hey, is he with you? No answer back. Then all of a sudden, here come my phone ringing. It's my husband. Like, I ran out to get something to eat. Like, what's up? And I was like, oh, you know what's up. I said, and I started repeating the girl's name. And he was like, why you keep saying that name? And I was like, I kept saying the name. So he was like, well, I don't understand why you keep calling the name. And I was like, oh, yeah. I said, your gig is up. I was like, you nasty motherfucker. I was like, your gig is up. So he was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm on my way home. I was like, bring your ass on home. I was like, come home. Because by this time, I'm furious. So I hang up the phone. I'm just like livid, y'all. I promise you. I think my blood pressure was on like 1,000 that day. So he comes in, and he come in like all Billy Bad. Like, why you keep mentioning that name? And I was like, you tell me why I keep mentioning that name. So I was like, I'm going to ask you this. I said, I'm going to ask you one time. I said, no, I know the truth. I was like, was such and such on this flight with you? He was like, no, I don't know why you keep mentioning that name. I don't know who that is. I said, I'm going to ask you one more time and know that I know the truth. Don't lie to me. And it was like this mask fell off of him. And he sat down in his chair and he was like, yeah, she was with me. And I was like, okay. I said, so that's your girlfriend? He was like, yeah. I said, well, how long you been with her? He said, a couple of years. And I was like, okay. So by this time, I can't hold it together. I mean, all I remember doing, I remember crying, and I had a really, really bad headache. And all he said to me was, and this was what he says was really kind of like cut me. He was like he was relieved. He was like, at least I ain't got to lie no more. I'm sorry I hurt you, but at least I don't have to lie anymore. So by this time, I'm like, say what now? So I'm screaming, I'm yelling. My son's upstairs. He comes down, goes back up because I was like, everything's fine, everything's fine. But my head is like hurting like really, really bad, guys. So I come back to my bathroom to try to get some medicine. So I was like, let me take my blood pressure. Blood pressure was like 190 over 110 or some crazy shit like that. So I was like, I got to get to a hospital. So stand by. It gets more interesting. So by this time, my head is banging and I know I need to go to the hospital. I know something is wrong. So of course I'm crying, I'm hysterical, trying to put my clothes on. He's trying to touch me and pet me up like, oh, I'm just so sorry that I made you feel this way. Now, didn't really have any compassion in his voice, any of that kind of stuff. So I was like, don't touch me. So I drive myself to the airport. He was like, I'll drive you. I was like, I said, I'll take my chances. I drive myself to the airport. I get there. Blood pressure is off the charts to the point they're like, ma'am, you're about to have a stroke. You got to calm down. And I really couldn't even talk. So they were like, you got to calm down. So they call my doctor. We get the medicine. They try to get it under control. So I'm there for a couple of hours. So I come home and he's sitting on the couch eating Cheetos like ain't shit happened, right? And he comes in like, oh, what they say? And I was like, they said, they got my pressure, kind of down because it went all the way down. They said, go see a doctor in the morning. So that night I could not sleep. I cried all night long to the point when I got up that morning, I really couldn't even see. My eyes were so swollen. So I'm tore up, right? So I go out later that morning. He's upstairs. I come upstairs because I slept in another bedroom. He's around here like, like like, he having a good day and shit. Like, his burdens is light. Mine heavy, but his is light. So I come up and then he's out in our family room and I was like, look, I said, I don't know. And I'm still in a state of confusion. So I was like, I don't know what happened last night. And I was like, I don't know what I've done wrong. Because by this time I'm blaming myself. I was like, I know I'm getting older, but I try to keep myself up. I try to look nice, do whatever I can as a wife. I was like, I've tried my best. So I don't even know what I could have done or what I can do. So I'm taking the blame. And he was like, oh, it's not you. Like, it's not you. So, but I'm like, no, like, it's gotta be me. He was like, no, he's like, you're a good wife. You've been a really good wife. So I was like, well, I'll tell you what. I was like, I'm confused here. I say, so what we need to do, I was like, I think we need to sell the house. Let's move away, try to start over. You go to counseling. I go to counseling. We do some counseling and we start over. So he was kind of like real smug with it. Like, well, if that's what you want, like, yeah, we can do that. So I was like, well, what about her? Are you going to stop seeing her? So he paused for like 20 seconds and kind of tilted his head to the side. He was like, I ain't gonna tell you I'm gonna stop seeing her. And I was like, then you want a divorce? He was like, oh, I don't want a divorce. He was like, I ain't gonna let nobody fuck my money. And I was blown away. Y'all, when he hit me with I don't want a divorce, but I'm gonna keep seeing her because I ain't gonna let nobody fuck my money. Let me tell you something. That was definitely the wrong answer and told me everything I needed to know about him, about the marriage, and what I needed to do next. So for the next couple of days, I'm still in a state of confusion. And I remember once I found the girl's name, I went to Instagram, good old Instagram, you go look there, you find anything. So I look up her name, I see her, and I'm really like feeling down. I'm like, oh my God, like she's beautiful. He wants him someone younger, like I ain't all that, So I'm just tearing my ass up. So, my girls called later that day. My best friend called that morning and was checking in on me and I was trying to hide it from her, but I couldn't. So I'm like in a ball of tears, tell her what's happened. She's in a state of shock. And usually she always got something to say, but she was left speechless. So she calls my other girlfriend. She calls. We all in a state of shock. Everybody's tore to pieces. So that day, after, I tell them what happened and everything, everybody, we just call it, we all were shocked. So the next day I go and meet with them because I see this girl on Instagram and I'm telling them about it. So they asked me to come out to lunch, have lunch with them, my two girlfriends. So, because they needed to tell me something. So, and I bring it up. I was like, well, I see her pictures on Instagram. And I was like, she's pretty. And they were like, girl, she ain't all that damn pretty. Like, that's filters and plastic surgery and a whole bunch of other shit. Like, girl, it ain't even all that. And they were like, and kind of, it's like, we ain't trying to offend you. Y'all actually kind of favor each other. Like, she may be the younger version of you. So I'm thinking, like, I don't look like her. Like, that girl's, pretty. Like, I don't look like that. So in the interim, I was like, well, at least I said they don't have any pictures of themselves up on her Instagram. So my girlfriends was like, that's why we needed to meet with you, because they were like, there is a picture out there. So by this time, y'all, I'm devastated. So our food tries to come. We have papados. Food comes. I'm so distraught from tears and looking a hot mess. Couldn't really even eat. And we went into how bad off I was. You know you bad off when you can't do this. We needed to pray over our food. I couldn't even put my hands together to pray. I have never had that to happen. I couldn't even pray. I literally put my head down on the table while they were saying a prayer and cried. And basically they made me try to eat because I really could not eat anything. So it was just a complete mess. So when I get home, my husband, he was actually gone. I think he was gone, but he claimed he had a trip or something. And then he tells me when he did come home, like, well, I need to talk to you because I think we need a little break. So he was like, you need a break so you can think about some things. And I was like, huh? Like, I need to think about some things. He was like, yeah, you need a break so you can think about some things. Yeah, to add insult to injury, he tells me he needs to go away for 3 to 6 months for me to think about some things and to think some things over. And I was like, I need to think some things over. I was like, I don't need to think about anything. He was like, yeah, I need to go away so you can think about some things. So I'm like, okay. And this is a straw that broke the camel's back when he said this. And I knew that this man actually had no love for me and that he had been planning and plotting for a long time. He was like, yeah, and if you find somebody in that 3 to 6 month time frame, I'll understand. Now, who tell their spouse that? If they really love you, they don't want you all sleeping with nobody else. Not if everybody normal, ain't nobody sick or doing anything like that. So I knew then, I was like, I don't have but one other option. Divorce is the only option for me. And I tell you, I prayed about it, asked God about it. And when I tell you, he was sending me signs. If you listen, he will send you signs. And he sent me sign after sign after sign, y'all. So I did. I filed for divorce. And each day I've gotten stronger. And I think my husband thought that, I don't know what he thought about me or what kind of person I was, but because he knew how I felt about infidelity. And I always used to tell him, hey, if something ever happens, tell me on the front end, because I'm going to hurt one way or the other, on the front end, on the back end. Just let me know, but don't play me for no fool. So he thought he got boo-boo the fool over here. So I was like, okay. And for Miss Girl that you saw in the video, yeah, she knew about me. He would have her at restaurants, hotels, games, had other women serving me my drinks. They'd feet under my table speaking to me, and he's sleeping with all these women. That is humiliating, y'all. So, you know what? I was like, if you give me shit taste, I'm going to let you taste it back. So to the airport video. Yeah, I was shocked. I was dismayed because that was my first time seeing them. I knew it eventually that I would see them out somewhere. It's Atlanta, and hey, it's a small town. So it's a big town, but it's a small town too. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try my best to be classy and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes that just don't work, because when you go in a gutter, when people go gutter with you, and I have to apologize to Michelle Obama. Girl, when you said that, when they go low, we go high. That ain't my motto, because when they go low, I go lower. I go gutter. I'm going gutter. I'm going to swim down with the rats with your ass. So I was like, okay, yeah. So she knew, and she was on Instagram sending all her little subliminal messages and all of that. Like, yeah, okay, I got you, girl. But y'all, when all this is over, I got a little story to tell about her and the rest of his story too. Our story. It's actually our story, because it's my story to tell. So I'll share more with you all, but let me tell you something that's a cautionary tale. If you all want to move on, just say you want to move on, y'all. Because if you frown, you definitely going to find out. And just like him, my husband got the 1 and the 2. Be good. Y'all hear from me later. Bye. Hey, y'all. After I posted that video of my husband and his mistress in the Atlanta airport, and I decided to share my story with you all, when I say that you all have shown an outpouring of love, support, kind words, prayers, just everything. And I just want to say how grateful I am, because that was very hard for me. And it's still hard for me. This is a journey that I wouldn't wish on anyone. This kind of betrayal and the lies and the deception, no one deserves that, and just reading some of you all's stories, it makes me sad to know that so many people are still going through this same thing, and it's not even about, everybody's going through it. black, white, it has no color line, and men are going through it too with women who are doing the same thing. But I'm hoping that this will help someone know that they can share their story and not live in shame, thinking they can't say anything and to protect the other person. Those days are gone, y'all. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting me and loving on me during this time. So this is a love that I didn't even know I needed, but I needed it, guys. So, and for the Ride Out crew, y'all crack me up, getting y'all Air Force Ones or y'all stomping boots. But y'all, I'm too old for that. And I'll tell y'all this, I'm just being completely transparent. When I ran up on them in the airport, I never knew what I would do if I ever saw them together. And I didn't do anything because I'm older now and I can't fight. I really cannot fight. And I didn't want her to whip my ass. So I was like, I'm not doing that. So y'all, we're not going to fight. We're going to fight with our tongues and fight with the legal system. And since I'm still going through this process, according to my, trusted counsel, Rachel St. Fleur and Melanie Fenwick Thompson, I got to start thinking smarter, guys. So I couldn't, go off and do that. So I want to advise you guys too. Like sometimes we have to restrain. We do have to use self-restraint, guys. So I do appreciate you all, and to my super sleuth, when I tell you, y'all are better than the FBI, the CIA, Scooby-Doo, Perry Mason. Y'all are on it. But yeah, we can lean back on some of that now. We'll get it handled, guys. But thank you for your support. And for you all who said I stayed, I did not. I know my worth. And as soon as I got more information after I initially found out on October 29th of 2022, there was so much more that came out between that time and when I filed. But I can't share that with you all right now because it is actually, this story gets crazier and crazier. But can't share that with you all right now, but I will at some point, and I just hope that it helps someone else know that you're not going crazy. You're not alone with the gaslighting and people making you feel like, you're a less than. You're not. So, and for me, for those who want to stay, that is your prerogative. I'll support you, but I'm not one of those you, me, and she kind of girls. There's not going to be no Eve and the Rough Riders on that one. No, it's either you or me. I value the institution of marriage. I made a commitment to God. I made a commitment to him, and he just didn't stand up on his end. So, it is what it is, guys. But I thank you all so much, and you'll be hearing from me soon. Hope y'all have a good one. Peace.
Just to reiterate quite a bit what Gail had shared, she bravely opened up about sharing how discovering her husband's infidelity. And honestly, it is so hard to believe how completely nonchalant he was about the whole situation. Definitely given that he didn't care about the years that they spent together, building a family and a union. But I'm so glad that she saw through his BS and decided to take control by filing for a divorce. Her story is definitely powerful, and I hope that if you are experiencing or going through the same or similar situation, I hope that her experience brings you joy, clarity, and of course, strength. Now, let's keep listening, and remember, you deserve love, respect, and honesty in any relationship. Let's watch.
Good morning, y'all. Earlier this morning, I posted a lengthy and detailed video stating that today was my 28th wedding anniversary, and I was giving some details about how I met my husband. And I told you all earlier that, we're going through this process right now. I can't share too much of it, but I would share everything once we kind of get through. But I feel the need to address this. I really shouldn't have to, but I want to. So I ain't nobody's victim, and I ain't having nobody's pity party. So my original post was about me seeing him and her for the first time in the airport. I admitted that I was shocked. I was. And the video was only about 7 seconds where I said, have a good flight. I think I said, hey, Harold, have a good flight. And I walked on off, right? And I turned the video off after that. And then I said something like, that's his mistress. He's my husband. I'm the wife. And I went on back to where I was sitting in the Sky Club. Didn't say anything else. So I guess she's is saying something about when we got to the gateway to get on the plane. Yeah, I said some things to him, but he's my husband, so I can say whatever I want to say to him. And it's just like kicking any trash can. You kick it, and the trash may get over on you too. So some of it, she might have caught some of the flack, but that's just par for the course when you do this kind of stuff. And well, it wasn't too much I could do anyway, because I had filed for divorce the year earlier. I filed for divorce in December of 22. So wasn't anything I really could do, guys, but other than doing what I did do. And then I kept it moving. But let me tell you something. Me and this girl are not the same person. When she met my husband, she knew he was married. She actually encouraged him to leave me. She was doing really disrespectful shit. She came to my Spelman Morehouse homecoming, sat under my tent, and saw me sitting right there beside him, and knew he was married. And we were all having a good time. There was no animosity that day. We were all having a good time. So as far as I'm concerned, she came around my family uninvited. Or actually, he might have invited her, but she knew what the deal was. You know, then she had the nerve to post that clip of Sunshine from Harlem Nights the day that I found out everything. Yeah, because I went on one of her pictures and kind of said a few things. And then she posted that video just kind of trying to taunt me. So I'm like, so you're going to taunt me and gloat after I find out that you've been with my husband. So, you know, I'm like, So like I said, I don't owe anyone an explanation, but I'm keeping it 100. So I ain't judging him. I ain't judging her. But at the same time, she and I ain't the same. And this is not about her. This is all about him and his lies, his deception, and all of that. So before you all get to start want to judge me and start talking about it's karma and all that, it could be, but it is what it is. So, I mean, I got to live with it, you know. I'm going to be accountable for 100% of all my shit. So, but I'll say before you all start throwing stones and want to judge somebody, you know, you need to hear the whole story. So, you know, every woman he's ever been with has been deceived and lied to. But I'll give you the story about how he and I met and what the situation was. Stand by. Hey, y'all. I'm going to address this part about the start of my relationship with my husband, and I'm going to be done. And you can say what you want to say, do what you want to do. I mean, it is what it is, and that was almost 30 years ago. But when I was introduced to him, I was told he was not married. Only to find out later that he was. So I told him then that I did not deal with married men and that I didn't want to do anything to some other woman that I didn't want done to me. And I meant that, and I still hold to that. So, of course, he gave me the standard, you know, we've been having problems and all that kind of stuff. And whenever I would talk to him, I would tell him, he would try to be hitting on me, but I would knock it right down because I wasn't attracted to him. My husband was overweight, morbidly obese, actually. But he was a nice guy. But when I would talk to him, I would encourage him to stay with his wife and kids. And I thought he thought that was the oddest thing, but that's what I would do. I would encourage him because I didn't like him like that. And I was like, you're married, so this ain't going anywhere anyway. So he kept asking me like, you know, like, what if I was divorced? Because she and I having problems and all of that. And I was like, well, if that's the case, you need to get your problem handled. I said, I can't even think about ever even dating you or doing any of that because you're still married. So lo and behold, he tells me that he's going to divorce her. He started his process and that, you know, he wanted me to be his girl and all that kind of stuff. Actually gave me some diamond earrings to let me know. He was like, this is to let you know that I'm super duper serious about this thing. So I was like, well, okay then, because during this whole time, we had no intimate relationship or any of that for like 3 months. Because actually I was calling him Al Bundy. And he didn't even know why I was calling him that. Because he was like, why you always call me Al Bundy? And I was like, because you married with children and I don't mess with Al Bundys or whatever, right? So once he started his divorce proceedings, he asked me would I date him. So I did. So there may be some fault there where I started dating him before his actual divorce was final. But I made sure that he had filed divorce because that's what he told me. So we did take a trip to the Essence Music Festival the first year. And a phone call came in. And, you know, I'm assuming that it was his wife. But the way he responded to the call let me know that, you know, basically something was up and that he probably had lied to me. So when we get off the phone, I was like, I thought you filed for divorce. Like, why was that conversation going that way? He didn't really have too much to say. But he was like, well, no, I talked about it, but I was going to file. I'm still doing some reach out. I'm filing when I get back and all that kind of stuff. So, of course, I was furious because I was like, you've lied to me. Like, why would you, tell a lie like that? You know, the only reason I came with you on this trip was because you told me you had filed and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking everything kosher with them and that I didn't have anything to do with that. Because he told me in the beginning, like, no, she and I having issues. And if I file for divorce, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. So I was like, well, okay, then. So like I said, I wasn't attracted to him at first. But he was a really nice guy, really nice guy. He was a professional guy, was president of a company and all that kind of stuff. But I had my own thing. I was working. I was a single mom doing my own little thing. So I didn't really need him for anything. But the only thing that I'll say about that was, yeah, I did start dating him after he filed for divorce. And I think from the time I met him to the time he divorced was like a 10-month span. So those first 3 months, I didn't say anything to him, like romantically, because I was not attracted to him. And that is for real. If you see the picture of him before, you'll know why, but he was a nice guy. So I'm just saying. But I'll say that, maybe me dating him before the divorce was final, was wrong. And I'll take accountability for that, but I can't go back, 30 years now and, correct that. I'm just trying to move forward and do what's right. But, Miss Thing, is trying to like paint this narrative like, oh, she was doing the same thing. Not the same thing at all, because my whole time I was encouraging him to stay with his people. She did not. I have the text messages between them from the day they met to, all the things that he was telling her, the things she was telling him, and telling him that she didn't have anything and that she left her family with just the clothes on her back and, just this little sob story for him. So I guess he went with it. But like I said, y'all, this was originally about me posting a video of me seeing them for the first time in the airport. So I ain't judging her. I ain't gonna judge him. Like I said, I'm not, but it ain't like I willfully went out and decided like I'm gonna go and destroy his family. It was nothing like that. So a lot of us were deceived. A whole bunch of us were deceived. So that is what he has done. That's what he continues to do. So I'm going to let it be what it is. And like I said, once we get further down the road in this process, I can share some things. I don't know how to share the receipts on here. I thought you could only do videos. So anybody that knows how you can post pictures and all of that of the text messages, I'll show you that I ain't got no lie to tell. And the whole time, I never talked to my husband's former wife. The only conversation we ever had was when she would bring the kids over and stuff like that. But she never said anything to me about me being the cause. But I did find this out, that after she found out that he and I was breaking up, she told someone that she was like, oh, she finally found out after all these years. Like she finally found out who he really is. Because I think I mentioned in the earlier video about him telling me about how she was not having any kind of intimate relationship with him. And he thought it was because she was depressed and, had some postpartum and all of that. Turns out, word got back to me. She was like, I wasn't depressed or I didn't have postpartum either. It was because I was tired of being in the doctor's office because he kept giving me stuff. So, I'm going to just leave it there, guys. And like I said, once all this is over, I'll come back and give you plenty of details. So old girl can keep telling all the stories she want, but they hanging, they doing their thing. I just got a message from a woman this morning who saw them out in Dallas last night at True Lux and said that, old girl got pregnant by her husband some years ago while she lived in California. So she was like, she's all about the money. So, and she is, and I'm telling you, y'all, yeah, I've lived a privileged life, but I've earned everything I've got here in this household. When he was sick, when he was doing all his other stuff, when he had to get wiped off of him, she wasn't here. I was wiping, cleaning up vomit and all the things that a wife would do. So for better or worse, yeah, I stuck in between all of that. So like I said, I'm going to end this right here. You can say what you want, judge how you want, but it's all good. I'm going to be good in the end. I was just sharing and hoping that my story would empower someone else to not be embarrassed, to stand up on your own, but it is what it is, and I'm living for today. Hope y'all have a good one. Hey y'all, this is my last video for today. No one likes being called a liar, and particularly me. So I have not lied to you all. I have no reason to deceive you. Like I said, I didn't know the situation, the whole situation with he and his former wife, but I'm sure she probably went through the same thing I went through, but she never let me know that, and I only could go by the stories that he was telling me about them having issues and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure they did because, based on her saying why she wouldn't sleep with him. But, in all fairness and honesty to me, everybody who knew me back then and knew us, during that time, they knew the story. He would tell them how hard I was. He was like, she was the meanest girl I've ever met. Because he was like, for the first 3 months, you couldn't even get a kiss from her. And he tells that story, and I'm sure it's on video from one of my birthday parties. So he knew who I was and how I was from the very beginning. So all this narrative they're trying to paint now, like, it wasn't like that at all. So, and I do have folks who will say that's exactly how it was. She told us she was not attracted to him and not just because he was overweight, it just wasn't attracted to him, period, and he had a great job and all that. I was not attracted to him. And that didn't faze me because I was like, I just was not. And as I got to know him, I was like, okay, he a nice guy. So I didn't use his size and the way he looked or anything like that against him. So I just felt he was a really sweet guy. But, y'all also ought to know that old girl is lying. And this ain't really about her, that she's lying, because can't nobody just walk up in the Delta Sky Club. Can't nobody just walk up on a plane, So that's just some, bullshit out there. And she also told you all about the Europe thing. Remember I was telling y'all the story about when the day I found out everything, that he was coming from a business trip. It actually wasn't a business trip. It was him coming back from her birthday trip from Europe. I think they went to Paris, to Amsterdam, Tuscany, and somewhere else. But he told me that he was on a business trip, and I have all the text messages to prove it. And I wish I knew how to upload some of this shit on here, the pictures, because I got proof. And I got proof too that she knew that he was married and how she encouraged him to leave. But I might need them for court, y'all. But anything that I think I don't need for court, I'll post it because I don't have any reason to lie. So I'm just letting y'all know, So if I owe anybody an apology, it might be his former wife, but I would owe it. I don't mind, giving her an apology, but that was based on the lies that he told me. I'm not saying that he has not told this girl the same lies, but I'm going to be accountable for my stuff. She not trying to be accountable for any of hers, but I'm just going to keep it 100 with you, y'all. So, like I said, this is the last one, but I want to be clear with y'all. If y'all got any questions for me, hit me up in my mailbox, and if I can hit you back, I will. Y'all have a good day. Thanks. Hey, y'all. I think the last time I spoke with you all, I mentioned that I could not speak about my current situation. And if you've been following my story, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And right now, the popo has been called on. This former popo, I guess me telling my story has irritated some folks' demons, and now they're worried about their character and what their mama think and all that kind of stuff. So when the dust settles, I am going to tell my story. So right now, my focus really has been on just trying to get my mental and my spiritual health back on track. Just been kind of, praying every day and trying to study God's word, live by his word. I've been talking to a therapist, and she's helped me out tremendously, because for years I have internalized things, and that's been to my detriment. It's always been to my detriment because I never really spoke the things that I really wanted to speak, or I said what I thought people wanted to hear. And now that I'm truly saying what I want to say and saying it truthfully, I feel so much better. So, with therapy, that's kind of helping me out a whole lot. So, like I said, I'm just, doing the things I can do to try to get my peace back, just playing with my pup, working out, doing all that kind of stuff. But I was going to say this. I have learned a lot about people just from posting my story, how people speculate and make stuff up. I mean, when I say I didn't know about this situation, I didn't know. And I'm the type, if you tell me you love me and we have been solid for years, and we've been connected for years, then I'm going to trust you. And especially if you've come through for me, I'm going to trust you. I don't have a reason to go looking behind to see, if you're going to do what you said, that you're going to do. So I may have been ignorant, from not looking at some things, but anyone that tries to decide to judge me based on what I did or didn't know, I pity you, because you are definitely woefully ignorant. I don't have anything to hide, and I didn't do anything wrong. So, that is what it is. I posted a video, I think, it was like a couple of weeks ago. I think one of the last videos I posted, and it was like 10 minutes long. And I promise you, all I did, I took the video down because it was just too long. Then it was just all this speculation. She lying, she taking stuff out. I'm like, no, the video was too long. So basically what I condensed it, put it into 3 separate videos, because who got time to listen to somebody, talk for 10 minutes? So there was nothing to it. End of story. I said what I said. It was the truth. So, and the other thing I want to speak on is friends. I am finding out that true friends are hard to find. Now, them fake ones, like during this time, they really show themselves. You think they're your true friends, but they really show themselves, I'm finding out that, that folks who say that they're your true friends, they really base it on simple stuff that really doesn't matter in the end anyway. Your neighborhood, your car, your social status. If they think you have some money or something like that, because the minute stuff go belly up, you lose your good job, them kids start showing their asses, any kind of family issues, they are so happy. You will find out that some folks are so happy and they show themselves in these type of situations. I mean, I'm over here tore up, and I can tell you that some of the first things that I figured that kind of shows those fake friends. First thing they asked was like, "Oh, you gonna keep the house?" I'm thinking like, who in the world is thinking about a house in this situation? Like, I know who provide for me. And first of all, I got 6 sisters and brothers. So if I was I ain't worried about where I'm gonna live. If I ain't living where I'm living now, I got somewhere to go. I know that assuredly. So that kind of stuff, tells a whole lot about people. So I'm just saying, with this divorce, you learn a lot about people. You stop getting invited to events. People would tell other people to stop hanging out with you. And I'm like, because of divorce, they telling folks to watch out for you. I'm like, oh, because I'm getting a divorce? I ain't done nothing wrong. Been doing everything as I'm thinking as right as possible, trying to be a good friend as best as I can. And then you find out you got these folks who call themselves your friend behind your back telling folk, watch out for her. And I'm like, all that's happening is I'm getting a divorce. But, just watch out for that kind of stuff, because make sure that people who saying they praying for you, make sure it ain't the other praying. Everybody ain't praying for you. They preying, trying to be nosy, trying to get in your business so they can go and gossip and run to the next one and tell it, But it's okay though, because I see you. I see these folks, and like I said, it's all good. It's going to be all good. So my advice also to you all is this. If you can't relate to this story or any story on anybody's social media, y'all have some choices, right? You got choices. You ain't got to sit here and listen to the story. You got 3 choices. You can either scroll, stroll, or roll. But don't bring your funky asses in my comments trying to defend some bad behavior. That ain't cool, and that ain't never gonna fly with me. So if this story don't relate to you, then, just keep it moving. And usually those that are offended the most or have the most, got so much to say, it's because they out here doing the same thing. So all I'm gonna say to you is do better, and don't be bitter, because I ain't bitter. Every day, my shackles from the years of lies and love bombing and all that, they're being broken daily. So I'm getting stronger every day. So I just think, y'all, we got to be kind to each other, because there's some people going through some tough stuff and it ain't funny. So I would say just be kind, y'all. And when I can, speak on this situation again, I will. But until that time, I want y'all to be easy and be kind. And I'll holler at you when I can. Thanks.
I grew up here in Jamaica, and hearing my granny used to say, same knife, stick sheep, stick goat, which is a Jamaican proverb, which means that someone who is harmful or mistreat a person who is a sheep is just as capable of doing it as another person who is the goat. So essentially, it suggests that a person's actions or behavior is definitely consistent across different people or situations. In broader terms, it's a warning that if someone treats you poorly, it is likely that they're treating others poorly too. That's just it. It's great to see that she took a step back and reflected on her own actions in this whole situation. And accountability is a part of the whole healing and growth journey. And it's also clear that he was telling her some lies that he's now feeding to the new girlfriend, just like he did with his ex-wife. It just really shows that if this is the truth, because everything is alleged, it shows that he's stuck in a cycle of dishonesty. Hopefully, this experience will help her to recognize those red flags in the future and realize that she deserves so much better. These videos were actually uploaded earlier this year, but then she recently came back with some new updates, so we're gonna get into those. Let me tell you, things have taken quite a turn. I'm anxious to see where the story goes next. And just a gentle reminder, if you haven't liked the video as yet, it is now time to do so. With that being said, let's keep watching.
Hey y'all,
It's been many moons since I have been on here. All is well as can be, and I'm grateful for that. It's been a long year, like most of you all have had a long year, but hey, life is lifing, and we just keep moving on with it. So, in January, I posted a video of my husband and his mistress at the Atlanta airport and shared my story about what happened before that day. I kind of went back in time from that day and started telling them my story. And let me say this first. When I decided to share my story, while walking blind and walking in the dark, I did so because I wanted to be impactful. And through my pain, hopefully I could help someone else who are in my shoes, who's about to be in my shoes, those who've been in my shoes before, where you can empathize and you understand what that feels like. And I wanted them to know that you don't have to hide or be ashamed because of someone else's actions, their selfish actions, actually. It was really the start of my healing process. Some of you may agree or disagree with how I decided that I wanted to heal. And it matters not to me, because when you have a broken heart or have been deceived and lied to and betrayed, all you want to do is fix your broken heart, and you go about it any kind of way you have to. So for me, sharing my story was therapeutic for me, but everybody does things their own way. And I shared about how, basically the immediate aftermath of me finding out everything. So I kind of shared my story that way. Yeah, it's been heavy, y'all. And, there was no remorse from him. She was happy. She relishing in it. Wanted me to know, leaving stuff behind in my car, her panties, her hair, barrettes, things like that. She and her family were elated because then they could have him all to themselves, He paying her way, her mama way, her boyfriend way, her kids way, cash apping everybody, just cash apping everybody. But, he was just being an outstanding boyfriend to her. All while, I was sitting at home thinking he was being a good guy, handling everything for our family. But, such is life. We live and we learn. But he applied the pressure. And that is what he had been doing for a very long time. Calling you up, telling you a queen, sending you flowers, sending your mama flowers, an Louis Vuitton bag just out the blue, a piece of Cartier jewelry out the blue. And this is all in the beginning. This is all a part of that love bombing stuff, taking you on trips, letting your family go on trips, sending you and your girls on trips, naming perfumes after you, and, giving you special holidays, or 12 days of Christmas, and cars for your birthdays and all of that. Like, girl, I've been through all that shit. So yeah, it's all a game, and it's the games that narcissists play, but I hope you're ready to play that way. So yeah, it's easy to fall for the trap though, y'all. It is so easy to fall into that trap. Somebody telling you you're a queen, and if no one has ever, treated you that way before, it is very easy to fall into that trap, basically writing you authentic love letters, and you thinking they're authentic anyway, but then you find out all they had done was stole some Stevie Wonder, Isley Brothers, and the OJ lyrics, and, sent them off, put them off like it was their own, But I'm finding out that a lot of these men who think they got a little cash, they all think they're little puff daddies. More money, more women, and they think, and I found this out later on, that it's okay, that since you got a little cash, that's what you can do. But not so, not so. For 27 years, y'all, I thought I had a real diamond. Not so. But he got to take his mask off for me. But trust and believe, there are many, many more masks to go. Stand by. I'm going to finish my story. So I was saying that the stranger in my house wore a mask. I really don't even know what he actually looks like. All I know is how he made me feel. And especially after I found out about all of the affairs. And when I say all, you're going to find out more. But actually, when I found out about this, the first affair that I knew about with Sabrina, all I know is how he made me feel. And some of those emotions were like, or feelings were like, I said I felt worthless, unpretty, old, dirty, lifeless, just to name a few. And yeah. And all I can say is the week that I found out, all I could do was cry. I mean, I was weak. I was weak. And in that state of mind, y'all, all kinds of dark thoughts creep into your mind. And that's not a good feeling. I will say just some dark, creepy stuff comes upon you. And yeah, I'm gonna just leave that at that. So, but the week that I found everything out, mind you now, they had just gotten back from her birthday trip in Europe. So that next weekend, he was taking her out of town for her anniversary. It was their anniversary trip. So I'm kind of tripping because I've gone through all these emotions. I got 3,900 million emotions and they on fire all over the place at this time. So when I found out about this anniversary trip, I was sitting there thinking like, he ain't giving not one. He don't care about me and nothing else. This is all about him. So I'm like, okay. So by this time, y'all know I'm sad, I'm angry, and it was just a mess. I mean, I tell you, they ought to make Inside Out 3, where they discuss what happens and show what happens when you find out your spouse is cheating. And I love that movie, Inside Out. I think that's a great movie. But anyway, anywho, y'all, my emotions were all over the place. And oh, let me say this too. Y'all, don't cheat on a former police officer or anybody that got any kind of access to any kind of records. You know, they can find out anything. Phone numbers, addresses, all kind of connections. Don't do it, big dummies. Don't. It's not even worth it, y'all. It's just so not worth it. So, but anyway. So back to their trip. Now, mind you now, they just got back from this European trip, but they had to take their anniversary trip. So by this time, y'all, I'm heated. I'm heated like, oh, they just gonna play in my face like that. They gonna really play in my face. So I will say, I was mad. So, I text the old girl, text both of them. And mind you now, a couple of days before, I posted under her pictures, because you know she posted all those lovely pictures from her European vacation. So I posted something under one of her pictures, and of course she quickly took it down. I'm like, well, why you quickly take it down? If you ain't doing nothing wrong, then you could leave your picture up. But she or leave my comment up, but she quickly took it down. So, and then had the nerve to post a video from Harlem Nights, that Sunshine clip where Richie calls and tells his son to tell the mama that she ain't never coming home. So I'm like, oh, okay. So it is funny to you. I'm like, okay, you got jokes. I like to laugh. I like to laugh. Shit, I like to laugh like anybody else. I got some jokes too. Stand by, y'all. So Sunshine got jokes. No remorse, but she got jokes. Now, mind you, she didn't make any vows to me, not one. He did, but she got jokes. She got jokes during the most excruciating, painful time of my life, outside my mother passing away. She got jokes. Now, I told you about their trip, and I did not put him out of our home when they went on their anniversary trip. He just didn't come back, and he claims that he didn't come back because he thought I was going to do something to him because the last time he spoke with me in person, my eyes were half closed. I was like, yeah, right. I was like, let me tell you something. I wasn't going to jail for that ninja. I ain't going to jail for these kids. I ain't going to jail for you. That ride or die shit, yeah, I'm a ride. I'm a ride all day long. Dying, I ain't doing that. And that's on everything I love. And a little bit of this Prosecco that's left. That's on everything. No, I'll ride with you and I'm gonna support you. I ain't dying and not over none of this anyway. Her, him, none of them. Just not gonna do it. But I was like, okay. So during that time, y'all, this was, it was pure insanity. I know that. And I'd asked him to come to get his belongings, come get his clothes and some of the other stuff that he had left at the house, because it was driving me nuts. The smell of him, the thought of him, just the memories of the home. I mean, during that time, it was pure insanity for me. And I just couldn't think right. It was like I was walking around in circles, and I really needed him to come and get his stuff. But of course, he gonna be all manly and talk about, this my house, I paid a mortgage there. And I'm like, well, that ain't fair to me. You moved her here from California to Atlanta. You paying her mortgage too. Go live where you want to be. Like, it's not fair to me. Like, this is not fair to me at all. But I was like, but okay. I was like, okay. But anyway, I need to put my police hat on and try to get them emotions under control, because the handwriting was on the wall and I knew what I was going to have to do. I know I'm not that kind of lady that was going to play that game. And like I said, he had no remorse. She had no remorse. And I was like, I got to get to hustling around here and try to, find some things out, because I trusted him with everything. Let's just say this. My investigations turned up some brutal stuff. I mean, really, really brutal. That had an emotional toll, just damaging stuff all the way around. So, I mean, think about, him professing her love to her, and she professing her love to him, and her talking about his love making and how she was craving him and she couldn't wait till the next time. Like, don't a wife want to read that kind of shit, but I had to, and I did. And it's indescribable, actually, and actually, it's humiliating. It is really humiliating, because this woman knew about me. She's watching me at basketball games. She's in the same restaurants where he and I are having dinner, watching us. He laughing, she laughing across the room. I can see her with her and her friends laughing across the room. Now that I think about it, I was like, wow. I had some friends that remind me of some times we were out to dinner. They were like, she was there at the restaurant when we were all having dinner with her crew. And I'm like, how bold. I mean, just how bold of him and her. And I didn't have a clue. But I'm like, but what's a wife to do? What you supposed to do? I'm gonna tell you what I did. I'm gonna tell you.
No, let me just chime in here real quick, because it's so honestly heartbreaking to see how other women was actually enjoying Gail's misery, and the fact that she was so openly disrespectful, knowing that she was involved with Gail's husband, just totally mind-blowing. It's like the mistress and the husband thought it was a joke, but karma has a way of coming around. Not to worry, because what goes around definitely comes around. I just hope this woman is smart enough to be stashing her coins, because clearly this man is funding her entire life. And it is sad to say, it is only a matter of time before he trades her in for, of course, a newer and younger version. What are your thoughts on this? Share it down below. Let's keep watching.
Y'all, so while I was contemplating ending my marriage, I spoke with several attorneys. I think it was maybe like 2 weeks in after I kind of found everything out. And some of the questions they asked me were pretty tough. And, I didn't know the answer to it. And I felt really, really dumb because, for 26 years, I let someone else control everything because I trusted him after all that time. So I didn't know where anything was, what we had, any of that. I only knew what he told me. So I really did have to go investigate. And there were specific things that the attorneys told me that I needed to look for to kind of prove some things if indeed I did decide to file for divorce. So as I, was going through all this, my mind is just completely, it's spinning. It was like a Cirque du Soleil show. I mean, it was flipping, spinning, twisting, twerking, you name it, my mind was doing it. So it just was not a good time emotionally for me. And anybody who's been through this will probably can attest to this, that, it's such an emotional time. You try to take the emotion out of it, but it's hard to do when it's still so fresh and so new. It's just like, this salty, it's just like this open wound that just kept getting salt and vinegar and everything else poured into it. So I had to, I had to pray to God to ask him to help me find what I needed to find out and to where to start. I didn't even know where to start. That's how confusing this whole situation was to me at that time. But when I tell you, when I asked, he answered. And when I started finding stuff out, like I said previously, it was brutal. And I had to, read and see a lot of things that I really did not need to see. I wouldn't put that on anybody. And it was to the point where, I was sharing some things with my friends and they were like, girl, stop reading. Don't look for anything else. You're finding out too much, because I was just so, it was overwhelming. It was truly overwhelming. So while I needed to find those things out, it actually broke my heart even worse. I mean, it shattered really into 1,000 pieces because, like I said, nobody wants to read about their spouse being with someone else. It's one thing to know that your spouse is cheated, but when you get to see the intimate details and the pictures and the I love yous is going back and forth during my whole marriage, because to make a long story short, this was happening the whole marriage. So while I'm thinking it was just Sabrina, after I finished doing my investigation of him and Sabrina, and I cried hard when I read that. And then the next one is like when I finished, investigating Sabrina, here come Cassandra. I'm like, well, who was Cassandra? Then the next one, it was like, well, who is Myra? Then it was the next one. It was like, well, who was Patrice? I mean, and this was just going on. Like, it was like that damn DMX song. It was like Patrice, Latrice, Cassandra, Blessed, Latoya, Valentina. That shit was absolutely nuts, y'all. I promise you. And it got to the point that at a certain point, I stopped crying and I actually got scared and was like, who really is this? Like, who am I really married to? But the crazy part about all that is he was still being cocky as hell, because I actually reached out to him and was like, this is pathetic. Like, you're pathetic. This whole thing is pathetic. He was still being real cocky. So I will tell you this before I take it in for the night. I was really upset. I done found all these women, and I remember talking to a girlfriend, and I was like, some of these women knew about me. I said, some didn't, but a lot of them did. They knew who I was, had been at events with me, had seen me, had spoken to me, had served me food, like the old girl at Stony River, Fatima, or whatever her name was. You sitting here serving me food and knowing the whole time that he financing your whole lifestyle and everything you're doing. I'm like, that was not cool to me. So what I did, and I know this is not going to be looked upon favorably, but it is what it is. So what I did was, after I found like the first 20 women, and this is in just like a 5-year span that I'm finding all these women, and it was more than that actually, but the first 20, I actually sent them all, it was crazy. I actually put them all on a group text and talked shit to them about him, and then put his picture in it too. And this is before I filed for divorce or any of that, because I was just angry. I mean, I was angry. So the crazy part was, some of them responded back. So there was some responded back like, this the wrong number. And I'm like, well, if it's the wrong number, Latoya, then block me. Then somebody else would come on talking about, oh, you losing your power. I was like, no, I'm regaining my power back. And if this not you, Monique, get off the thread, Monique. Then it was somebody else. It was crazy, So these women were responding like, I don't know who you are. Well, if you don't know who I am and you want to give me advice, if this don't concern you, just block the call. This is not your number. So that did happen. That was kind of crazy. And what I did, I reached out to those women, because I'm like, if you're going to be a gangster, and like, why I got to protect y'all? Nobody was protecting me. He didn't care. They didn't care. So now all of a sudden, everybody was thinking I'm supposed to, protect their feelings and how they feel. Like, nobody was concerned about mine. You knew he had a wife. He knew he had a wife, and nobody was concerned about me. So as far as I was concerned, I was like, well, okay, well, all of y'all can get some of this. And that may not have been the best thing to do, but I did it. And it felt good in the moment. It sure did. So stand by, because this story gets crazier. So I did text message his harem of harlots. Just 20 of them, though, y'all. I didn't know that I could have done a group me and put everybody in it, because it was way, way, way more than that, more than I really ever anticipated. And this wasn't even talking about the whole marriage. This was just for the 10 years that I could go back and find what I could, you know. Now, was my reaction to their actions with my disrespectful walking lie of a husband mature? Absolutely not. But it was necessary for me, for him, and for them. Because you just can't play with people's lives and then think that it's just going to be okay. You know, telling lie after lie. Y'all, just tell the truth. The truth will do every time. You know, and there were many nights where I didn't even cry. I wept. And that's a different kind of emotion. You know, that is very draining. It's hurtful. It's beyond hurtful. Hurtful is not even the right word. And there were nights where every day actually, it felt like I had a ton of bricks on my chest. Nobody should have to go through that. So, you know, my purpose here is to let you all know, like, live right, do right, you know, and I'm hoping that this, you know, this is not fun and game for any of us. And I'm not looking back. Somebody put in the comments about somebody was looking back. Girl, I'm not looking back in my rearview mirror. I'm looking ahead. But I'm trying to give a warning to those of you all out here who are putting all your trust, all your eggs in that one basket. I'm not saying to not be submissive to your husbands or not trust your man or your female, because this goes both ways. But just be, you know, just keep your eyes and your ears open, you know. And I just wish I had, you know, listened to the words of my mother years ago. She was like, always be prepared for the rainy day. And I wasn't prepared for the rainy day. So that's on me, you know. So I can't blame all those women, because he knew he was married. Now, some of them knew he was married too. I just didn't like the disrespect, you know, where if they knew he planned some event, why would you come to an event that you know my husband planned and you know that I'm going to be there and walk around the room and come smile in my face and do all that? That's sickening to me, y'all. And I can't deal with that. But, you know, he dirty, his people dirty, you know, and I just don't know what kind of thrill a man gets from that, from having women that he's having sex with in the same room with his wife and just making up lie after lie, you know. Anytime I had surgeries, it was always some kind of reason he could not be there. Or if he was there, he left the next day to go have sex with Pat in Dallas or Monique or whoever else, you know, and Dania and Janice and Nicole, you know, the whole little mortgage little whores they had over there down in Dallas at that company, you know. So yeah, that's not cool for any of that, you know. And the other thing that really trips me out is I didn't know how gullible women were. I'm gullible. But some of these women, when I say most of them, when I say, y'all, I didn't know that people were sending naked pictures. I've seen more booby pictures, cootie pictures, just all kind of pictures from professional women. I'm like, now you should know better than this. You should know better. But, you know, I guess getting those LV bags and the designer bags and the trips and the money and the dinners and him doing whatever he was doing and y'all doing whatever you were doing to him, I guess it was worth it for you. So I guess there is a price for everything. They put a price on it. He put a price on it, but you can't put a price on someone's feelings and someone's life, you know, and you just can't play those kind of games with people. So, and that's all I'm trying to do, y'all. I'm not moving, not backpedaling. And for all you all who got some stuff to say, you can talk and say whatever you want to say. No one can judge me. There's only one person who can judge me, and he will have the final say in the end. I just want to help people as best as I can. And it's just me sharing my story. And for all of you all that are going through this, I'm just going to say, hold on, you know, just pray and you'll figure it out and you'll get your answer. And just because, you know, I decided to go one way, and if you decide to stay, go, or do whatever else, do that. But you do what's best for you and for your family. I had to do what was best for me, for my health, for my mental well-being, the whole shebang, y'all. So I just want to say thank you guys for letting me share my story. I ain't done. I'm just tired tonight. I'm going to sleep. I'm ready to go to sleep now. But there is more to this story than you can ever imagine. I'm just sharing a little bit. But when I come back, I am, and I'm going to, take a little time off, but I want to tell you all about Andre. And I don't know no girls named Andre. Maybe you do. I wanted to come on here and clear some things up. First, I have the right to express myself and to tell my story. For some reason, people are offended by my authentic account of a road I'm traveling. And my message to those people is, stay off my road. Or better yet, stay off my social media. As I've said before, this has been a healing balm for me. And I hope my journey has helped someone else ponder and prepare for life's unexpected bumps. Long story short, y'all, I'm kind of being strong-armed to stay silent and not tell my story. Because I guess some people don't like what they look like in a mirror. It's just amazing to me how demons don't like the truth. So before I can move forward, I have to clear up some unnecessary drama. So before I can talk about my Andre interaction, which will be soon, I have to get this stuff cleared up first, y'all. But I wanted you to know that I'm in a great place. I'm in a good space. I'm single. I'm free. I'm getting back to me. So much so that I've even changed my name back to my original name. I'm going back to the only thing that's ever been given to me that didn't come at a cost. Also know that, on this journey, I have not lost a thing. I have learned and I have gained. And all of the pits and ditches that people dug for me and tried to push me in, over the years, the last few years particularly, I want to say that what those devils did for evil, God worked it out for my good. So there is so much more I want to share with you all. And I want to encourage anyone who has been on my journey, who's on the journey, or about to go on this journey, know that you will make it through. Not saying it's easy, it is tough. It has been one of the toughest things that I've ever been through, y'all. But you can make it to the other side. You can. So I'm just here to encourage you to hold on and to stay strong, just as you all have encouraged me. And I want to thank you for that. And once I get all of this unnecessary stuff handled, I'll be back and want to share some more with you guys. Thanks again for your support. Peace. I wanted to share something that happened to me this weekend. I spent the weekend over at Morehouse College celebrating homecoming with my Morehouse brothers and my Spelman sisters, and it was wonderful. But I wanted to share this part that while I was walking around, I was stopped by several people who have been following my story. And at first I was kind of a little bashful and I won't say ashamed, but kind of like, kind of felt kind of icky about it. But there were so many positive responses that it really just brought joy to my heart and let me know that, me telling my story, hasn't been in vain. So I just thought that was I thought that was amazing. So, and I'm the type that I've never done anything spectacular in my life. I'm just a small town girl from Smithville, Virginia. Just always been little Gail Wells from Smithville, Virginia. But I've always wanted to have an impact in life. I went to Spelman, we're supposed to do World Changers. So I'm hoping that whatever I have done or said will help someone to be able to express their voice, speak your words, and don't let people try to shut you down because they don't think it's proper or, it's embarrassing and it's humiliating and just go live in shame. That is not who I am. And this is just the way I decided to tell my story. And y'all, I know I'm not going to be the first woman to get cheated on. I won't be the last woman to get cheated on. That's a part of life. So I get that. But I think the part for me was the blatant disrespect that came from the situation. You know, I mean, you calling someone fiance while you got a whole wife, you know, you on dating sites, Match.com, Black Singles Meet, you name it, you know, they doing it, you know, doing the steal, but supposed to be so in love, you know, still sending money to Blesseth and LaToya and probably Andre too, to keep everybody shut up at this point. But, you know, it's just certain things that, you know, you don't want to, you can't tolerate after a certain amount of time, especially once you find out. I never knew all this was happening, but once I found out, you know, just how disrespectful all of these actions were, it really made me decide to, like, you know, to speak to speak. And that's what it is, you know. You taking my kid to have sex with prostitutes and strippers because you want him to be a man. You know, it's like dumb shit like that, you know, and, you know, and on top of that, going out and having sex with all these different people through the years, through the whole marriage, and probably half of it was probably unprotected. So imagine the horror for me once I found all of this out. I mean, y'all, you have no idea how terrifying that is. And you got to go have your blood pulled and tested for every known disease, you know, every disease known to man. That's crazy, y'all. You have no idea. And maybe some of you do if you've been through it. But that is crazy. But I just wanted to say, you know, you don't have to sit back and just take someone's BS to protect them and their character and, you know, how they're made to feel. Nope, I had feelings too. And there was no disregard. There was no regard for mine. It was complete disregard for how I would feel, for my health, my mental well-being, all of that. So, you know, I just want to say thank you guys for your support. And, yeah, I want to say thank you. But I had another little tidbit for you all, too, that I've learned through this whole process, because everything that I've been through, I wanted to also be a learning lesson. So for anybody that's married or in a relationship, and any of you all have insurance policies, make sure check your policies, because I did not know that you could have a wife, a spouse, and a whoever, or a fiance all on the same insurance policy. So word to the wise, y'all need to check that kind of stuff so you don't be surprised, you know, if something happens and you're thinking you're the only one that would be due what is truly due to you. So check that, y'all, because, you know, you may have a policy and your spouse may have a policy on you, and they got your mama as the lead, and then you got to deal with someone else doling out what's rightfully yours to you, and that's not cool. So that's just my tip for you all tonight over some of the things that I have learned through my process. But I hope to talk to you all soon. Have a good one. Mwah.
Who the heck is Andre? I'm so curious to find out about how this Andre fits into this whole drama. If you're adding your new girlfriend or even your fiance to your ex-wife's insurance policy, no, that's just nasty work. It's so honestly messy and disrespectful. I really hope that we can hear from Gail very soon, because I am so completely invested in this story. And as usual, let me know your thoughts down below. This is where we're going to close out today's video, guys. If you have enjoyed the content, remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. You can turn on your post notification as well, so you'll be notified every time I upload another video. And if you want to continue to watch amazing story times and relatable story times, I should say, like these, you can go ahead and click that up next video right here on your screen, and you can enjoy the day away. As per usual, guys, thank you so much again for watching until the end of another video. My name is Jody, and I aspire to inspire. Until next time, guys, walk good.